a bit of Christmas tree diplomacy. When Notre Dame Cathedral said it was unable to raise enough funds for the tree, Moscow stumped up $100,000 to transport it and install the 25-metre tree in Paris. It's a message of peace, said the Russian ambassador. It's also another example of Putin's campaign to garner influence across Europe. Earlier, a Moscow-based bank lent Marine Le Pen's cash-strapped far-right Front National party $11 million. And all of this goodwill coming just days after France refused to deliver 2 warships to Russia because of Moscow's involvement in Ukraine. The Kremlin quickly pulled back from a threat of serious consequences if France reneged on the deal. But it's more than Christmas trees and cash. At the G20 in Brisbane, Vladimir Putin couldn't fail to be aware of Russia's growing isolation. And the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, once the West's contact point with Putin, has finally run out of patience. And Putin is now paying court to the countries on the margins of Europe, looking to shore up old alliances. In Serbia, Russian forces on manoeuvres with the Serbian army, the first joint drill with a country seeking membership in the EU. It rang alarm bells in Brussels, but it's an indication of Russia's determination to extend its sphere of influence across the countries on its borders. And Russia's financial and economic investments within Europe are extensive. Bulgaria, $11 billion has been invested by Russia over the last 10 years. Italy, Russia's the country's main energy supplier. Hungary negotiated secret loans with Russia totaling $12 billion at below market rates. And Austria imports 60% of its gas from Russia. Moscow's invested $12 billion in the country.
It's essentially for Kremlin to have countries inside European Union. He would try to block sanctions. But the main battle which Putin lost in Europe is battle for Madame Merkel heart. You know that especially after their 5 hours meeting in Brisbane, she's now just furious about Putin.
The German Chancellor delivered this stark warning about Putin's territorial ambitions in a speech following the G20 in Brisbane last month. This isn't just about Ukraine, she said. This is about Moldova, about Georgia. And if this continues, we'll have to ask about Serbia. Well, the view from Washington and Brussels is that President Putin is busy bullying, buying and bribing his way into extending Russia's influence and power in the EU. And the Kremlin's perception of this so-called crisis? Well, it's convinced that EU's remorseless move towards the countries of Eastern Europe represents a threat to Russian security. Where the EU goes, they'll tell you, NATO will follow. Peter Sharp, Al Jazeera in Moscow.